heritage.
We are heritage!
Yeah! We are heritage. Shh.
We are heritage!
I am heritage.
Hey, I'm Mr. R. I'm one of the counselors here at Heritage. I'm hanging out with Gumby, and the real truth is that you are Heritage. What I mean by that is, if you weren't here, then we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, administrators wouldn't be here, teachers wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for the students, we wouldn't have Heritage High School. So the fact that you are Heritage is part of the reason why we're doing this video. We're already starting to work on next year's classes. And the bottom line is, for you to have the most successful year possible, you got to pick the best classes possible. For the next few minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey. Your homeroom teacher is going to be with you. We're going to help you fill out your course selection sheet for next year. Couple things, kind of ground rules before we get going. It's important to do this right the first time. We all know that when you need a schedule change next year, by the time you get to our office and you actually find the right counselor and you do the whole process, it can be a real pain. So from the beginning, let's try to think through this and be as accurate as possible the first time. Secondly, I want to keep in mind, you want to keep in mind what the graduation requirements are. As you're going through your course selection, we'll get into graduation requirements in a little bit, but think about what you need to graduate and plan accordingly. Also, another thing, at the end of this, we're going to ask you to take it home, and we're going to get you to go through it with your parents, and we're going to have you sign, and your parents sign, that you've actually agreed on these courses. So make sure you take this home, talk about it with your parents, and then whatever the deadline is, we want you to be aware of that deadline. And your homeroom teacher has that deadline. It's printed on your sheet. But be very aware that we would like you to have that back to the counseling office by the deadline. Okay? So, get ready. We're gonna talk through your courses over the next few minutes, and hopefully Gumby and I will do our part to get you through. I'm going to give you a couple things. Before we start looking at the actual sheet, I'm going to give you a few instructions. At the top of the sheet, you should see your name on a label. If you do not have your name on that label, then make sure you tell somebody, because you'll be picking someone else's classes. So make sure you've got that name on the top is your name. And right next to it, there's a box that you should be able to put in your contact information. So right now, I need you to go ahead and put in contact information for how we can get a hold of you if there's a question as we're designing your schedule. On the bottom of that section, you'll see that it has a line for program of study. If you can pick a program of study, we want you to put it in that right now. If you're not sure by the end of this course selection video exactly what you're doing, don't worry. We'll get there. Okay? Oh, I was waiting for you to finish that section. All right, so we've got your name on the top. You've put in your contact information now. Let me do this real quick before we start. I want to take you through what the graduation requirements are. If you don't know what it takes to graduate, you're not going to know how to do this. So, real quick, I'm a visual kind of person, and so I've got my beautiful whiteboard back here. I'm going to write what the graduation requirements are. Graduation requirements. Number 1, you're going to need 4 Englishes to graduate high school. You're going to need 4 math credits to graduate high school. Of those 4 math credits, okay, so in order to graduate, you have to take a math all 4 years of high school now. And that's the sequence that you have to have in order to graduate. You're also going to need 3 sciences, so one of them has to be biology, and one of them has to be either chemistry or physics. Okay? Next graduation requirement, social studies. Okay? You're going to need 4 social studies those 4 in order to graduate. Okay, you with me? You're going to need physical fitness. One and a half credits of PE. 1.5 credits of PE. Most of you have taken a wellness, and then you'll do a half a credit of personal fitness. Okay? You're also going to need 1 fine arts credit. One fine arts credit for everybody who graduates. You need to do at least 1 fine arts credit. Foreign language. You're going to need 2 foreign language. All right? And then we're going to do, I'm getting squishy down here, a half a credit of personal finance, which you guys usually get in combination with that half a credit of personal fitness. And then we're going to do 3 credits in a program of study. As well, here in Blount County, there is one other requirement that Blount County asks for you to do, and it's 1 credit of computer apps. So you put that all together, and that's what you need to graduate. Okay? Okay, we're done with that. Are we going?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know we were going. Okay, this is Mr. R again with you. I'm here just hanging out in the studio with my template here, Mr. R. Thanks to the welding shop who made this awesome template for me. I'm just going to set that right there. In case you forget who I am, you'll remember when you're watching this. Right now you should be in a homeroom surrounded by sophomores. All right, we are going to watch a video that is designed for rising juniors. Okay, if you are not in a sophomore homeroom, if you are surrounded by people that are not sophomores, you're watching the wrong video. Okay, you should have filled in your contact information at this point. We are going to go ahead and work on section 1. All right, the way this course selection sheet is designed is it's broken into sections, and I'm going to walk you through each of those sections. All right. In every section, I'm going to give you directions. The way that you select the course that you want is by circling it. All right. In section 1, you should have English, math, and science, and you're going to select a course in each one of those areas. So we're going to start off with English. There are basically 3 options for you to choose. If you are in a traditional academic English class, then you need to select English 3. If you are in an honors class and you want to continue in that honors track, which we all think you should, don't even be trying to get out of honors. You should select the English honors. You really want to expand yourself and be challenged, then you need to select AP English 3. Now here's the deal. You're going to need a signature by your current English teacher to be able to be approved for either honors English or AP English. There's a spot on your sheet that you'll see where you need to get a signature of your current teacher. Throughout this process, any honors class or AP class that you choose is going to need a teacher signature. So, all right, so right now you should choose one of those English classes. Okay, you should have chosen an English class by now. We're going to move on to math. Okay, there are several different options for rising juniors in math, so I'm going to take you through them real quick. If you were in Algebra 2 this year as a sophomore, that means most likely you've not had geometry. You need to select geometry for next year. Okay? If you are in geometry this year, most likely you've not had Algebra 2, so you need to select Algebra 2 for next year. Okay? If you started in Algebra 2 this year, but got changed to a geometry class for the second half of the year, then you need to re-register for Algebra 2 next year. Okay? And if you are in Honors Algebra 2 right now, then that means you will have already completed Algebra 1 and Geometry, and next year most of you will go on to trig in the fall and pre-cal in the spring. Trig in the fall and pre-calculus in the spring, which means if you want to double up in math, you'll have to circle both trig and pre-calculus. That particular course is going to get you to calculus as a senior. Now, if you're in Honors Algebra 2 and you do not want to get to calculus as a senior, then you've got a couple different options. You can take trig next year, and then you can wait to take pre-cal as a senior. I will say that's a tough thing because a lot of people, when they go that long without a math class, that pre-calculus comes around and it is a killer. So if you're going to do that, talk to your math teacher before you make that choice. The other thing you can do is take trigonometry next year and then take finite math as a senior. Or you could take trig next year and probability and statistics as a senior. There are prerequisites that go with each of those classes. So as an honor student, this next year, you'll have lots of options as what you want to do with math. I would talk with your parents, talk with your math teacher, or talk with your counselor to decide where exactly you want to go. All right? Okay, we should have finished math now. We're moving on to science. As juniors, the main goal is to make sure that by this time you've had at least, by the end of your junior year, you've had a chemistry or a physics. Most of you had biology in 9th grade. Last year as a sophomore, or this year as a sophomore, you took maybe a physical science, maybe you've had environmental science, okay? But a lot of you as juniors do not have a chemistry or a physics. So let me tell you your options. You can take a semester-long chemistry, which means you're a pretty good science student, you're a pretty good math student. You can take a year-long chemistry class, which means math and science might not be your strongest subject, but you want to try chemistry, and we'll spread that out over the whole year for you. Or you can take a physics class. There is a semester-long physics class that is a regular physics class that you can take as a junior. For those of you that have already had a chemistry or a physics class, most likely you're in the honors track. So there are quite a few options for you when it comes to what you're going to do next in science. You can go on to honors physics. You can go on to AP biology. You can go on to chemistry 2 honors, anatomy and physiology honors, or ecology. So you'll see all of those selections on your sheet. And if you want to pursue any of those upper level sciences, you are free to pick them. Lastly, in science, I want to talk to all the students that are going to be in the STEM academies. If you're in the STEM studios, you need to take scientific research your junior year. It's an honors level course. It is a requirement for the STEM graduates to take. So as a rising junior, you need to take the scientific research class if you are going to complete a STEM studio portfolio. Okay? Now, that should complete section 1. You should have something circled under math, under English, and under science, and we are done with section 1. Congratulations. Ready? All right, we're going to do this. Section 2, okay? We've done section 1, we're on to section 2. Social studies, foreign language, and PE. Here's the deal. Rising juniors, every one of you right now needs to select a U.S. history. You will see 3 different options. Number 1 just says U.S. history. Number 2 is U.S. history honors. Number 3 is AP U.S. history. What you need to be prepared for is the AP class is a year-long class. You will need instructor permission to get into the U.S. history honors or the AP. But right now, every junior needs to pick one U.S. history because it's a requirement to take your junior year. As far as the other stuff goes, there are other options that you can take in the social studies department. Those are not required, but if you want to take them, especially if maybe you're a humanities program of study, there are lots of other options there that you can take, but make sure you take a U.S. history. Foreign language. Español. Oui, francés. Remember, you need 2 years in the same language, and you can choose all options as juniors that you need. So Spanish 1, Spanish 2, even Spanish 3, French 1, French 2, French 3. Do not pick a class that you haven't already had the prerequisite for. And if you want to take both languages in the same year, make sure you pick both of the same language. Cool? Next we're doing PE. As juniors, there's not a requirement for you in the PE section. As long as you've already had wellness and you've already had your personal fitness, you should be done with your requirements. However, you can take team sports or strength and conditioning as an elective. If you're going to take strength and conditioning, I have some very important news for you. Listen up. All right, you good? We rolling? Okay. I was saying strength and conditioning. The strength and conditioning is going to be really important because we're doing some changes. If you guys are athletes and you want to take strength and conditioning and your coaches have told you that you need to take strength and conditioning, I need you to listen up for a second because we're going to have several different options for you. If you are this is going to be for strength and conditioning. Okay? Number one, if you are a football player, I want you to select the strength and conditioning that has football in the description. You need to circle that strength and conditioning. Okay? If you play boys basketball, then you need to choose the strength and conditioning that has boys basketball in the description. Okay? If you play girls basketball, then you need to choose the one that has girls basketball in the description. Okay? And lastly, if you just play a sport that is not one of these three sports, but your coach has told you that they want you in strength and conditioning, then you need to choose strength and conditioning for athletes. Okay? And one more thing, if you are an athlete and you need to take strength and conditioning in the fall and the spring, then I just want you to circle the description that says fall, spring, or it says fall and spring. This isn't going to count as one of your classes, but it just lets us know that whatever one of these strength and conditionings you're in, you need it to be in both fall and spring. All right? Now, if you're not an athlete, but you still want to choose to take strength and conditioning, then you are going to pick the strength and conditioning that is for non-athletes. We want everybody to have a chance to take strength and conditioning. Just because you don't compete in a sport doesn't mean you can't take it. But we need you to make sure to select the strength and conditioning that says non-athlete in the description. Go. All right, we're done with that section. Tell me when we're on.
We're on.
We're on? Love it. Okay, section 3. All right, so this section is all about graduation requirements that you have not gotten in your freshman year or your sophomore year. For the most part, most of you have already taken these. But if you haven't, you need to make sure to look at the listing of classes. There are going to be classes like wellness, personal fitness, personal finance, computer applications, or a fine arts credit. You have to have this to graduate. So as juniors, you need to make sure that all of those courses are out of the way. So if you have missed one of those courses at some point in your last 2 years, you need to sign up for that for whatever you've missed right now and include that in your junior year. That's section 3. So right now, look through section 3 and make any choices that you need to in section 3. Okay. That was easy. We're on to section 4. Section 4 deals with any classes that you have failed and need to take in credit recovery. If you've not made up the class yet, first of all, we'd really like you to go to summer school to take care of it. That's the easiest and best way to take care of classes that you failed. However, if you know already that you're not going to be able to do summer school, then next year as a junior, we need to put those classes in as credit recovery classes. So take a look at the list, and right now, pick any credit recovery courses that you know you need to make up so that they're on our radar, and we'll get them scheduled for you in your classes. Okay, next section is going to be section 5. Here's where we're going to talk about programs of study. There are tons of different programs of study. This is where you have to get 3 courses in the same content area, and it's a graduation requirement. So, actually, I think there's a guy who can tell you about programs of study. Hold on just a second. Okay, so programs of study. We're going to go back to my fancy whiteboard here. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to try to show you what the different programs of study are. First one I want to talk about is ROTC. The new structure for ROTC is going to work like this. Okay, as usual, as sophomores, if you're in the ROTC program, you're going to select ROTC 2 or Aerospace 2. Okay. However, under the new structure of the ROTC program, here's how it's going to work. You're only going to need 3 credits to finish the program instead of 4. Now you're going to need 3. Okay? The first 2 will cover your wellness credit. You'll still need to do 2 levels to cover your wellness. Okay? The third one is going to cover your personal fitness and your personal finance. So once you complete the 3rd level of ROTC, you will complete the program of study, plus you'll get credit for wellness and personal fitness and personal finance. The 4th level will be more of a senior leadership type of position, but it will not be required to finish the program of study. Okay? Next program of study is Fine Arts. Okay? The only thing you need to know about this is you still have to do 1 Fine Arts for your graduation requirement, and then you need 3 additional credits in Fine Arts to complete the program of study. So a total of 4 Fine Arts credit is required to complete this program of study. What's next? Okay. Yes, that awesome idea. Love it. Love it. All right. Number 3 is going to be a humanities program of study. Now, here's the way it works. You'll see the list on your sheet, but classes like creative writing, mythology, speech are some of the English classes. There's 2 types of mythology classes this year. They're doing a regular mythology and they're doing a world mythology. Those are all going to count as humanities credits. In the social studies department, the psychology, sociology, contemporary issues, Bible history, the new class Appalachian Studies, those will all count as humanities credits. So if you're interested in pursuing that program of study, you're going to need 3 of those credits to count as humanities program of study. Yeah. Right? We also have math and science. In order to do a math and science program of study, you have to complete 3 credits above and beyond the requirements for math and science. And then the same thing applies for the AP or Advanced Placement program of study. If you have 3 credits in Advanced Placement classes, then you'll complete the program of study in AP. So the last big one, okay, which has lots of different areas, is a program of study in an area of CTE or career technical education. If you know your program of study is going to be one of these 5, then on the bottom of your course selection sheet, you need to circle the next appropriate class or the classes that you need in order to complete that program of study. Okay? If you are in a program of study that's in CTE, then you need to turn your course selection sheet to the next page, and you will see all of the classes that are broken down into the clusters of their program of study. Go ahead now and take a few minutes to look over that program of study, look at all of the different options, and choose the classes that you're going to take next year.
We are Heritage.
I'm Miss Hedrick, and I work with the 9th graders.
I'm Ms. Kybers, and I work with students with last names A through G.
I'm Mr. R. If you're H through O, you belong to me.
I'm Ms. Whitehouse, P through Z.
So by now you've completed your course request forms. You've circled 10 classes with 4 alternates marked with an A.
And we know you may have some questions. That's why we're going to be here in the cafeteria for the next week to help you out. In the mornings, at lunch, and after school.
And make sure to pay attention to that deadline that's at the bottom of your paper.
Important. Deadline. Deadline. Make sure. Really make sure you get them back by the deadline. Are you aware? Are you hearing me? Okay. Deadline. We hope you have a great year next year. You finish your course selection. Congratulations. We'll see you then.
How long do you make them stand? See how long you can make them stand. Get my belly all the way in there.